My experience with his family was great. They were very accepting. My love, I was drunk and
If you think that you are old enough and your parents know that you are grown enough to get married, they should also know that you know what's right for you and you can make the right decisions for yourself. Meeting the parents is not you seeking validation or approval, it's you informing your parents of your decision. Hi everyone! Welcome to OKEY'S and OKEY'S Love Channel.
We're here to enlighten lives and uplift souls with our love story.
Because God is love and love is God. So if you have love, you have God.
So today we are going to be talking about meeting the parents, right? So what do we want to talk about when it comes to meeting the parents?
Like my wife said, we'll be sharing our experiences on meeting the parents. And we believe that from our experience that a lot of people will learn. Like they said that experience is the best teacher, but I advise people, don't wait till you have a personal experience with a lot of situations. Learn from other people's experience or experiences. Because ndị be anyị sịrị na ife ofu onye gara jiri isi apụta, onye nke ọzọ nwere ike eje isi atọ. Ask your Igbo friends to interpret for you. So
you want to say that in English? My love, I was drunk and So what do you think about preparing for meeting the parents?
okay, I think the very first thing that every spouse should do for their partner is give them a heads up. Not just a heads up, but tell them about your parents in full details. Because I've seen situations whereby spouse complain, why would your mom say that? Why would your dad say that to me? And people are always like, don't mind them. That's how my parents are. How would they know that's how they are when you did not tell them? So always offload to your spouse in full details who your parents are, what they like and what they don't like. But outside that, please, the prepping goes both ways. You can't prep your spouse to meet your parents and not prep your parents to meet your spouse. I think that's where we get it all wrong. Even God, in a lot of things in life, He gives us choices. He never takes out that free will from us as humans. That tells us that everything goes both ways. So in as much as you want to prep your partner or your spouse on meeting your parents, you also have to prep your parents on meeting your spouse. And please don't withhold any information about your parents to your partner, and don't withhold any information about your partner to your parents. If you think that you are old enough and your parents know that you are grown enough to get married, so I believe that they should also know that you know what's right for you and you can make the right decisions for yourself. So with this being said, meeting the parents or taking your spouse or partner to meet your parents is not you seeking validation or approval from your parents. It's you informing your parents of your decision.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, that's deep too. That's deep. So I know that a lot of people tend to want approval from their parents or from their families, which is great. You know, if your family or your parents are, trying to approve your relationship or you're married, that's awesome. You know, that's the best feeling. But that should be an additional thing to You already knowing what you want and then going for what you want and then getting validation from yourself, from your spouse, before any other person comes in. Any other person that's coming in to validate should just be an additional thing. It shouldn't be something you're seeking. You know, like it shouldn't be an approval. It shouldn't be like a permission that you're seeking from your other family members. Am I right? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a really important point.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, I have seen a lot of people who, on their preparation to meet the parents, they are all worked up, they're tense, they're like, would your mom like me? Would your dad like me? How can that be a discussion on you meeting the parents? Your spouse should do the work. Talk to your parents. I'm old enough to pick a wife. I'm old enough to be someone's wife. And I'm old enough to be someone's husband. That means you should be old enough to know what's right for you. You are the one being married. And you are the one that will stay in the marriage. So you should know what is right for you. Irrespective of whoever picks the partner for you, you should know what you want. And
nobody should be able to pick a partner.
And that's why I said irrespective of even if someone picks the partner for,
like an arranged marriage?
Bless you. So this me saying I'm not against any of it. But all I'm saying is know what you want. Because some people must have pitched what they want to their parents and say this is what I'm looking for. So their parents will go looking for that for them.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cases where people go to meet the parents and there's a lot of fallout. That's a very wrong move, whether it's from your spouse or from your parents, because first impression really matters a lot. And you should know that it's very wrong for your spouse to meet your parents and they feel talked down
or uncomfortable.
Exactly. Or for your parents to meet your spouse and they feel uncomfortable. So what I'm saying is there should be a prepping
from both ends.
Exactly. Behind the scene.
Yeah.
For the actual movie.
Yeah.
So, and the responsibility lies on you that your parents is being met. Be it when you're going to meet the male parents or when you're going to meet the female parents. Always prep your parents and always prep your spouse. It's your duty to do that. And always have this in mind, that you are the one that is getting married and you are the one that will stay in the marriage. Because you seeking validation of what your parents want, how they want this to be, how they want the wedding to go. Your parents have had their own wedding. And I don't think they sought for your consent. Mm-hmm. And they had their own wedding. Yeah. So, and they had it the way they wanted it and the way they could afford it. And you should be old enough to make your decisions. It's your wedding. It's your marriage. It's not your parents' wedding. It's not your parents' marriage. But all I'm saying is, parents, make it easy for your children. And children, make it easy for your parents. Because these kids are starting a new family. They need every support that they can get. Don't tear the marriage before it starts. And then blame it on them later. Or blame them for not being married. Every mistake you feel that you've had in your own marriage, please don't impose those fears on your children. Don't do that. Tell them the things that you would have corrected. Point the mistakes you've made and tell them, if you don't do it this way, this is the mistake I made with your father, this is the mistake I made with your mother. Not you trying to let them know that this is the way it should be done, but you know you've done it and it failed you. Prep your siblings. Prep everyone that is ought to be prepped. That this is someone, this is a man, this is a woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You've made your decision. Now your decision should be respected. And whoever you've chosen should also be respected.
Even if they don't agree with the person, right? Or even if they don't agree with the way you're doing it. You should know that it should still be respected. You know, your value in being a member of the family should count in that version of respect. For us, I think the main thing was before we actually got to meet the parents, there was a lot of prepping. I told my husband that my parents are this way and that way, and he should just be aware of this, and he should just understand this about them. And so I told him what they liked, what they didn't like. I told him what my siblings are like as well, and what to expect from them, right? And he also did the same for me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it made the process a lot easier. So when we actually like spoke to my siblings and you know, went to meet my parents, it was a little bit more smooth than normal, and everything that I think I felt that would make him uncomfortable, I just made sure that I removed it out of the way, at least for the first few meetings, right? And vice versa. If there's a particular way your parents prefer to be approached, then I would say, okay, you know what, tell your spouse, so that they also know how to approach your parents. And if there's a particular way your spouse, you know, is more comfortable with, then talk to your parents about that, so that, you know, there's no awkwardness in the meeting when that time happens, right?
Okay, and if you've done all those things like we've said, and we did it in our own time, like my wife said as well, I spoke to my parents, spoke to my siblings. We are all in alignment before I introduced my wife to everybody. And how was the experience for you?
My experience with his family was great. They were very accepting. I think for me, I was very like patient in, you know, meeting them at their own time too, because we didn't want to like rush things, you know, if they're not ready to like speak or to meet in any way or to have a conversation, because it was long distance at first too, right? We had to do some of them through FaceTime, you know, and if they weren't comfortable doing that, then for me, I felt like it was okay. Like I didn't take anything personally. I just respected that like they're not comfortable right now, and I just gave it time. That was my experience. So when the right time came, and then my husband, you know, prepped everyone and they were all comfortable and ready to accept that, then we decided to meet everybody like in person for the most part. And we decided to have conversations more and, you know, hang out more together. So we have a lot of videos now, a lot of pictures with our families and all of that, and that's really nice. I felt really respected and accepted.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's because my husband also did a lot of the prepping. He put in a lot of work, even with some resistance, because like we said, like our marriage was like pretty quick and swift, and we both knew that it was going to be that fast because the Lord has already been prepping us for years, but they didn't catch up to that, you know, our families didn't catch up to that. So it was a whole like situation at first, because they're like, why are you guys trying to get married so quickly and blah blah blah, but we've already been prepped and we were okay with it. So we had to be kind of patient as we could. We had to be as patient as we could with our families, but you know, we still had our own boundaries. It's not like we're trying to seek their validation or seek their permission. We already knew what we wanted. We had already agreed, discussed it. We've discussed a lot about life and a lot about how we want our marriage to be, and we're both in agreement and okay with it. So for us, it was just a matter of like giving them time to process it and be ready, right? So we faced some resistance at first, because obviously it's normal. Why are you trying to get married? What if this happens? What if that happens? You know, all of those things. And, you know, we just tried as much as possible to to make it a positive thing, because a lot of these like conversations were also like going towards the negative side. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What if that? And we didn't really want to think that way, because God has already given us a word and we're just following through with that word. So we tried as much as possible to turn the negatives around into a positive by saying, you know what if it is positive, and what if it is possible that, we get married and all of these beautiful things happen, right? So if you are sure in yourself, it will be easier for you to stand your ground on some of those things, right? When you're dealing with family or friends, it's easier for you to be like, you know what, I know what I want. And even if you don't agree with it right now, at least you need to respect it and respect that my decisions hold value, right? And that's really what we were kind of expecting from our family members. And I think another major thing that we both agreed on was for me to deal with my side of the family and for my husband to deal with his side of the family. So we didn't want any boundary crossing where like somebody would call me from his side or someone would call him from my side and start making him uncomfortable. For us, that was very, very important. And so we made sure that before anybody spoke to anybody's side of the family, they were gonna feel very comfortable and very respected. And that's what worked for us, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Oh, that's it. You said it all.
Yeah.
I think it's the same. What you said is exactly the same thing that happened when it was my turn to meet her side of the family. She told me everything as well, prepped me, told me that they're ready to meet up with me, and we met. It's as smooth as it could be. Yeah.
I personally had to go meet my parents a few times, prep them, and thankfully they were all in the same city. We were all in the same city, so it was easier for us to meet up and to have these conversations before we all decided that, you know what, I'm gonna come back here with my husband and we're gonna all meet as a family, right?
Yeah. And one thing I should highlight on or advise everyone on is, even outside marriage or outside prepping your parents or your spouse and meeting your parents, one thing you owe everybody is to give them a clear explanation of your intention. Give everybody a clear explanation of your intention. It is not your duty for them to receive it or interpret it to a sound understanding. They have a right to their own level of understanding. So what I'm saying is that it's left for you to give the best of your best when it comes to explaining your intentions, but it is not in your place to make them understand. So when you have done the best you could do in explaining to your parents or your spouse, I believe you should leave them in their own space of time to absorb, understand, and come at the same pace with you. But still, don't pause your life for anybody. And don't let anybody pause your life.
Yeah. So I think even to add to that, I think for us, we were working according to God's timing, right? Like we said, we were already prepped for it by the Lord. And the Lord already told us, propose at this time, told my husband, propose at this time, let's get married at this time, let's post pictures at this time, you know what I mean? So it was everything that we did since we met was pretty much directed and ordered by the Lord. It was perfectly orchestrated by God. So when we were having some of these a bit of back and forths with family members, we still decided that, you know what, we're going to tell you what we're gonna do, and we're gonna respect that, you haven't processed it yet, and we're gonna give you the time to process it, but we're gonna give you a timeline where we're gonna do all of these things as directed by God, right? So this is when we're gonna get married, this is when we gave them all of the information, right? So it made it a little easier for us as well to just transition into that process regardless of what anybody said, right? And so that's why being in a relationship and in a marriage that is led and directed by God and ordered by the Lord is very important, because it's so many things will come in as distractions, as noise, as, you know, just things that would influence your decisions. And
people also try to feed you with their fears.
So
it boils down to know what you want.
Yeah.
In life in general, know what you want. Because there will always be noise everywhere.
Yeah.
From your friends, your spouse, your relatives, your relations, your father, your mother, your siblings, everybody, even your pastors, so on and so forth.
Know what you want.
You as a human being should know what you want.
And let God lead you.
See, the best gift I can give to anybody in this life is have God.
Yeah.
That's the best gift I can give to everybody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time I'm like, I see people who are in some kind of situations, and some of them even like come to me for help, and I look at them a lot of time and I'm like, what can I give to you, or what can I tell you that will save you from this permanently? At the end I'm like, experience, they say, is the best. I've experienced this before, I've been here before, and the only thing that saved me was the word of God. So just go. You have to embrace this God. The best thing I could tell you is God is love, and love is God. Search for him in your own ways so you can find him personally and have a personal relationship with him.
And just something that came to mind about like searching for God just now is like you finding ways that you can find gratitude in your life. You know, if you literally like write down like a list of ways to thank God for something, like, God, you did this for me today. God, you've given me this beautiful job, and even if I don't have this yet, these are all the things that you've done and the things that you've given me. Right? Even if you cannot find, you feel like you struggle to find God, just read the list of gratitudes that you have towards God, the Thanksgiving list. Just read it up, and you'll notice that God is love, and God has loved you, and God has loved on you for a long time. And so that, even in that small action, that can also make you be like, you know what? If God has loved up on me for so long, even when I didn't acknowledge him or notice him, then maybe I should be looking at how to get closer with this God, right? Because that's what I tend to do sometimes. And everything I tell you on video right now is just me speaking from experience. I have not spoken without having to experience something. So trust me, I can relate to a lot of things, right? Make a list and, you know, gain some perspective, and you'll see that God loves you. Even if you don't know where to start, this is a perfect place to start.
And the very first step to take in meeting the parents is prep your spouse. Tell them everything they need to know about your family and about your parents. But assure them that they are not marrying your family, they are marrying you.
Yeah.
Very vital. Then tell your parents too, and your siblings and your family, everything they need to know about your spouse, your husband, or your wife. And let them know too that they should be as welcoming as possible in making your marriage work, not spoiling it. And they should know that it's you that your spouse is marrying and not them. With that being said, have a wonderful and a blessed meeting the parents.
And also, you've probably seen the beautiful paintings behind us. That is actually my husband's work, and we are trying to showcase it as much as possible in our videos. He has a spirit of excellence. He does beautiful work. He paints. He's an artist. He's very, very talented. He's as an actor, as a producer in the movie industry. So he does a lot of things, and so I thought it was great to just showcase some of his work, since he has not yet done that. I don't know why, but you know, you can look at it, and if you feel like you ever want to purchase any of his work, please feel free to send us a message. Just see how amazing the spirit of excellence that is in him, given to him by God. He is very talented, and he's so handsome. Right, honey?
Yeah, you're so beautiful.
I love you.
I love you. And stay tuned to Ife and OKEY'S Love channel.
So remember, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification button.